All right, so get this. Elon Musk is causing a stir over in Germany.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about a new Tesla factory this time,
Right.
but about him very publicly endorsing a political party over there in their upcoming federal election.
Oh, this is juicy.
It's sparking some pretty heated debates online, and we're going to unpack all of it today.
Yeah, we've got some interesting sources to dive into for this one.
Okay, lay it on me.
So we're looking at a Reddit thread from Air World News.
Oh, yeah, those guys don't hold back.
No, they do not. And we've also got this article from Axios, which gives a more, objective overview of the situation.
Okay, cool. So for those who might not be, following German politics super closely,
Yeah.
or who, like me, need a quick refresher every now and then,
Yeah.
what exactly did Musk do that's got everyone talking?
He endorsed the AfD party, and he didn't just, casually mention it.
Right.
He went all in. First, he publicly endorsed them on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Right.
Where he's got a pretty massive reach, let's be honest. And then to, really drive the point home, he wrote an opinion piece for Welt am Sonntag,
Okay.
which is a prominent German newspaper, and he straight up praised the AfD's policies.
Wow. Okay, so backing up a bit, who are the AfD exactly?
They're a far-right political party known for their nationalist and anti-immigrant stances.
Okay.
They've been gaining traction in recent years, and their platform includes some pretty controversial proposals.
Like what?
Like withdrawing from the European Union.
Okay, so we're talking a pretty far cry from the mainstream.
Yeah.
No wonder people are having some pretty strong reaction.
Exactly. And get this, the German government actually responded to Musk's actions.
Oh, really?
A government spokesperson actually accused him of trying to influence the election.
Wow.
But they also emphasized his right to free speech, even calling his opinion nonsense.
Nonsense. That's kind of a power move, isn't it?
Yeah.
Playful but pointed.
Right.
So they're acknowledging his right to say what he thinks, but also making it clear they're not buying it.
Exactly. It shows how they're trying to walk this fine line, between defending free speech and pushing back against this potential undue influence.
Right. Definitely a tricky situation.
Yeah.
But let's dive into how people are actually reacting. That Reddit thread you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
I took a peek, and wow, people are fired up.
That's putting it mildly. I mean, you see a lot of outrage. Some users are calling Musk a shadow king.
A shadow king.
Yeah, essentially accusing him of operating, behind the scenes to exert control and influence.
Right.
The term is often used in conspiracy theories, but it reflects this very real anxiety that some people have about the power of figures like Musk.
Yeah, that term definitely carries a lot of weight, especially considering Germany's history.
Right.
With authoritarianism, it makes sense that people would be extra sensitive to anything that even hints at that kind of power dynamic.
Absolutely. And then you've got another group of commenters who are taking a more cynical view. They're arguing that billionaires meddling in elections is nothing new, and that Musk is just more blatant about it.
It's like that saying, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Right.
Just a different face on the same old power structure.
Right.
But there are folks who are coming to Musk's defense too, right?
Right. They're focusing on his right to free speech, arguing that he's entitled to express his opinion regardless of whether people agree with it or not.
Yeah, it's a classic free speech debate.
Yeah.
Where do we draw the line?
Exactly.
That's a question that keeps coming up, especially in the age of social media.
Yeah.
But in this case, it gets extra complicated because it intersects with the issue of election interference.
Right.
So how do we even begin to untangle that knot?
That's the million-dollar question. Does simply expressing an opinion, even a controversial one, constitute interference? Where do we draw the line between voicing support and actively trying to manipulate an election?
And then you layer on the fact that we're talking about a billionaire with a global platform.
Right. It raises the question of whether someone like Musk, with his wealth and influence, has a disproportionate impact on the political process. Do social media algorithms amplify his message and potentially sway voters in a way that's unfair? And can a foreign national even ethically, let alone legally, influence another country's election? These are all really tough questions.
Tough questions indeed. But to really understand the potential impact of all of this, I think we need to delve into Musk's motivations.
Okay.
Why is he wading into German politics in the first place? Is it purely about free speech, or is there something else at play?
That's where things get even more intriguing. We know Musk has expressed frustrations with German regulations in the past.
Right.
Particularly regarding his Tesla factory there. Could it be that his support for the AfD, a party that generally favors deregulation, is tied to his own business interests?
So perhaps it's not about ideology at all, but about creating a more favorable business environment for himself?
That's a valid theory. But we also have to consider the possibility that Musk genuinely believes the AfD is the best choice for Germany.
Okay.
He's voiced concerns about their economy and cultural direction, so maybe he genuinely sees the AfD as a solution, even if others find that perspective misguided.
Okay, so we've got potential self-interest, potential genuine belief in the AfD's platform. Is there any way to know for sure which is driving his actions?
It's tough to say definitively, but the Axios article points out something interesting. Remember how we talked about the AfD being pretty far from the mainstream?
Yes.
Well, they also have some specific stances that seem to directly clash with Musk's own ventures.
Like what?
For example, the AfD is deeply skeptical of electric vehicles and renewable energy.
Huh.
That seems pretty at odds with someone who's built companies like Tesla and Solar City, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if Musk is really looking at the big picture here or if he's just laser focused on the policies that directly benefit him.
Yeah.
And it's not just about electric cars. The AfD also wants Germany to leave NATO
Right.
and has expressed some pretty strong anti-American sentiment. Doesn't exactly scream Elon Musk fan club.
Yeah. Not quite. It suggests that maybe there's a disconnect between Musk's perceived self-interest and the AfD's actual platform. So it's becoming even trickier to decipher his true motives.
Okay, so maybe instead of trying to figure out what's going on in Musk's head, we should look at what's happening on the ground.
Right.
Let's go back to that Reddit thread and see what other reactions are bubbling up. What else stood out to you?
One comment I thought was particularly insightful was from someone living in Germany. They suggested that Musk's endorsement might actually backfire and hurt the AfD more than help them.
Now, that's interesting. Why would they think that?
They pointed out that the AfD has a strong anti-American, anti-capitalist streak running through its ideology.
Okay.
So having someone like Musk, who embodies American capitalism, endorse them could alienate their core supporters.
I see.
It's a reminder that political dynamics can be really complex and unpredictable.
You're telling me, I mean, this whole situation, a billionaire tech CEO potentially swaying a foreign election by endorsing a far-right party, it's a lot to process. But I guess that's why we do these deep dives, right? To really get to the heart of these complex, messy issues that are shaping our world.
Exactly. And there's still so much more to uncover.
Okay, hit me.
What are the potential consequences if Musk's actions are actually considered election interference? Could this lead to new regulations on online political speech, even in countries with strong free speech traditions like Germany?
Whoa, that's a big question with potential implications that go way beyond this one incident. We've definitely got a lot more to discuss, so stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive.
Welcome back. Before we dig deeper into the, potential fallout from Musk's actions, I think it's worth exploring some more of those Reddit reactions.
Okay.
It really gives you a pulse on how people are processing this whole situation.
You're right. And honestly, scrolling through that thread, I was struck by how many people seem just plain exhausted
Yeah.
by this whole billionaire meddling in politics things. Like, here we go again.
Right.
Another rich guy trying to buy influence.
It does tap into this growing sense of disillusionment, doesn't it? It's like the voices of everyday people are getting drowned out by these megaphones the super wealthy have.
Right.
Makes you question how much power any one vote really holds.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter who the billionaire is or what side they're on. It's the principle of it that rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah, I get that.
But okay, putting aside the frustration for a moment, let's get strategic. If Musk is trying to tip the scales in this election, do you think he has a real shot at succeeding?
It's a tough one to call. On the one hand, there's no denying the massive platform he has.
Right.
Millions of people see his posts on X, and his opinions carry weight, especially with a certain segment of the population.
Right.
He can definitely shape online discourse, which can then spill over into real-world voting decisions.
He's kind of like a one-man media empire.
Yeah.
But then again, we were just talking about how his endorsement might actually repel some voters,
Right.
especially those who are already wary of big tech and American influence.
Right. And it's crucial to remember that Germany, unlike some other countries, has a pretty strong tradition of independent media and a fairly robust political culture. People aren't necessarily swayed by a single figure, no matter how rich or famous they are.
So there's Musk's influence, the potential for backlash at the existing political landscape in Germany.
Right.
It really is a complex equation, kind of like trying to predict the weather.
Right.
There are just too many variables.
And human behavior, especially when it comes to politics, is notoriously unpredictable. But that unpredictability is also what makes this whole situation so fascinating. Speaking of which, there was one comment on Reddit that I had to save for this part of our deep dive.
Okay, what is it?
Someone actually suggested Elon Musk for German chancellor.
Whoa, hold on. That takes the whole Musk meddling in German politics thing to a whole other level. I'm pretty sure he can't legally run for office in Germany, though, right? He's not a citizen.
You're right, and that's a non-starter legally. But it's still a telling comment. It shows the level of, I don't know, maybe it's fascination, maybe even adulation that some people have for him.
Yeah.
It's like he's become this global figure who transcends national boundaries.
Yeah, he definitely has that disruptor, larger-than-life persona.
Right.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second and talk about the potential legal ramifications here. If Musk is found to have violated any election laws, what kind of consequences are we talking about?
That's the crucial question, and it would hinge on the specific laws in question. Germany has pretty strict rules about campaign finance and foreign interference in elections. If his actions are deemed to have crossed the line, he could be hit with some hefty fines, maybe even face legal sanctions or restrictions on his business operations in Germany.
So this isn't just about bad press or public opinion. There could be real, tangible consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And think about the precedent this could set. Governments around the world are grappling with how to regulate these tech giants and their increasing influence in the political sphere. This case could be a watershed moment in figuring out how to handle situations like this in the future.
It's a high-stakes game, no doubt.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting. We've been focusing a lot on the German perspective here, but Musk is also a major player in American politics,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's famously close to President-elect Trump.
That's right. And there are even rumors that he's considering a formal role in the new administration,
Really?
which adds another layer of complexity to all of this. Now you have to wonder about potential conflicts of interest and how his personal political stances might affect his business decisions, not to mention his potential influence on U.S. policy.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But I think it all circles back to this fundamental question. Are we entering an era where a handful of extremely wealthy individuals have an outsized influence on global politics? And if so, what does that mean for the future of democracy?
It's a question we can't ignore. And honestly, there are no easy answers. But one thing is clear, we need to be having these conversations, raising awareness about the potential pitfalls of concentrated wealth and power.
Absolutely. We can't just sit back and let things play out without examining the implications, without thinking critically about what kind of future we're shaping.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we do these deep dives, to shed light on these complex issues, encourage critical thinking, and hopefully empower people to participate in the conversations that are shaping our world.
Well said. And on that note, we're going to take a quick pause to gather our thoughts and prepare for the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll be back in a flash to wrap things up and explore what this all means for the bigger picture. Okay, we're back. And man, this deep dive has really got me thinking.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk, the AfD German elections, it all seems so specific at first glance.
Okay.
The deeper we go, the more you realize it touches on these huge, almost existential questions about wealth and power and the future of democracy.
It's true. This one incident has so many threads that connect to bigger issues.
Right.
It's a microcosm of the challenges we're facing in a world where these tech giants and billionaires have these unprecedented levels of influence.
And it's got me wondering, is there anything we can do about it? I mean, short of some massive societal overhaul, how do you even begin to level the playing field when you have individuals with this kind of wealth and reach?
That's the question, isn't it? The million-dollar question with no easy answers.
Right.
But I don't think we should let that, paralyze us. I think it starts with awareness. Recognizing how wealth and power are being used to manipulate systems,
Okay.
and then demanding more transparency and accountability from those in positions of influence.
So education and activism, arming ourselves with knowledge and using our voices to push for change.
Exactly. We need to be having these conversations, raising awareness, and supporting organizations that are fighting for democratic values and trying to curb the influence of money in politics. It's a daunting task, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I think it's essential if we want to safeguard the future of democracy.
Okay, so let's talk about concrete steps. You mentioned earlier the possibility of new regulations on online political speech. Could this whole Musk situation be the catalyst that pushes governments to finally crack down on how social media is used in elections?
It's definitely possible. I mean, governments around the world are already wrestling with how to regulate these online platforms, especially in the context of elections. This case could add fuel to the fire, pushing lawmakers to implement stricter rules about foreign interference and the use of social media to manipulate voters.
So potentially less free speech online, even in countries with strong free speech traditions, like Germany.
Right.
It seems counterintuitive, but I guess if the goal is to protect the integrity of elections.
It's a trade-off, and it highlights that constant tension. How do we protect free speech while also safeguarding democratic processes? There's no easy answer, and it's a debate that's likely to continue for years to come.
And it's a debate we need to be having, because this whole Musk situation, as wild as it seems on the surface,
Right.
it's really a microcosm of the bigger picture. It shows us that even something that seems isolated, like one guy endorsing a political party in another country, can have ripple effects that touch on these fundamental questions about the future of democracy.
Exactly. And it underscores the fact that we all have a role to play in shaping that future, staying informed, staying engaged, thinking critically about the information we consume.
Yeah,
These are all essential tools in navigating this increasingly complex world.
it all comes back to being an active, informed citizen. Well said.
Thanks.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. It's been quite a journey. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot more informed and maybe a little more unsettled, but definitely ready to keep exploring these big questions.
The spirit. The world needs more people who are willing to dive deep, challenge assumptions, and engage in thoughtful debate. So to our listener, thank you for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's for next time.
Keep diving deep.